Thanks for dropping by. Well, today we're going to look at how you can afford to prepare for a better career. Now, we're labeling this affording college because that's how most people think of this, as needing college to get a better career. But there are other options, and we're going to talk about that. So let's think about this as preparing for a new career, regardless of what method, institution, etc. that you use to accomplish this. Career preparation fundamentals we want to talk about. First, you just cannot fall into a great career. You got to prepare for it. Something you need to do in some way to prepare for a better way to get money and to enjoy your job. Better paying careers do require preparation. People who get paid more prepare for a longer period of time usually, but that doesn't have to always be the case. Careers with longevity, something you can stay in and not have to change careers and jump from one career to another career. And it provides security because you want a career that will enable you to have longevity and also the fact that it's going to be around for a while. You can get a great career without college, as we mentioned, but you would need to get some kind of help to prepare for that, maybe at a career college or some other ways. And a career is not a job. Career is something that you have for your lifetime. You might have several jobs within a career, but you typically want to prepare for a career, not just a new job. I'm an advocate of believing that youth should be responsible for their career choice, and they should pay for it. They should take responsibility for that decision. A lot of people believe that parents are responsible for paying for the educational cost of their children. I think the parents can help their child and help direct them in the path to get the education and how to pay for it, and even help pay some of that cost maybe, but they are not responsible for paying for it. As well, I believe that we see a large number of youth that graduate from college or don't go to college and they stay at home for many years. And I'm an advocate of believing that parents should help their youth understand there is a specific date that you will be leaving the house and starting your own life. And we will address this in a later video. Because this video addresses how you can afford to prepare for your career only. And I believe that people that are in preparation for a career in college should not be worrying about their funding problems and finances. And they won't be if we put together a good plan. You know, the old adage is that people don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. And it's important that you set out a plan that will help you get your goals accomplished in preparing for a career. One of the main reasons people drop out of college, data tells us, is that there are financial issues. Many times they did not expect that it would cost quite so much, that they didn't expect some of the things to happen that did happen. But preparing for a career helps you have a better future. It helps as an investment in what your future earning potential will be. And we can do that through one of the forms we're going to talk about. But most students need multiple financial programs to pay for college. Sometimes there's the belief, oh, okay, well, I'll get a grant and that'll pay for everything. Usually not. I'll get a student loan and that'll pay for everything. Usually not. And the way that financial aid was developed in the United States is that it takes multiple pieces to put that together to pay for the entirety of the educational cost. And we'll talk about that as we get into this process. Most of the time, you need to reapply each academic year and each federal year, depending upon the type of aid you receive. Now, let's talk about some goals. Funding goals. If you want to keep your cost of education as low as possible, put it in your mindset that you will not repeat or drop classes. At the beginning of a new semester, colleges oftentimes see a parade of students signing a drop slip or drop process. And when you drop a class, you're prolonging the time and expanding the cost of your education. You want to keep your credit load so that it is optimal to complete on time. A lot of bachelor degrees that used to be 4-year degrees have become 5- and 6-year degrees. And the reason for that is dropped or repeated classes or low levels of semester classes. For example, a bachelor's degree typically takes 15 credits per semester to complete in 4 years. Well, 15 credits is a challenge. Some people say, well, I'll take 12 credits and it'll be easier. But realize the implication of that. If you take 12 credits, it's going to take you 5 years to graduate instead of 4 years to get a bachelor's degree if you do that every semester. Also, you should only borrow the money you must have for your education. A lot of people borrow the maximum amount of money they can get, and they don't think it's going to be a big deal, but that money has to be repaid because the goal is to graduate with the lowest possible debt. See a lot of news reports about the debt of students and how much of a problem it is for student loan debt. And it will not be if you manage it properly. Borrowed money will cost you over 10 years. That's the repayment of it unless you do some significant refinancing. Student loan payments reduce your options when you graduate. So if you've got now a student loan payment of a significant amount because you borrowed a lot of money, then you're going to have a problem that you cannot afford some of the other things you might like to have. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge believer that preparing for a career is a good investment and a good decision. It's one of the few places where spending money and borrowing money is worth it, but you've got to do it wisely. Explore all the other options before borrowing money. And we're going to talk about a lot of options in part 2 of this. And you want to choose an entry-level option for a career to keep your costs low. Some people, when they leave high school, believe, oh, I'm going to go ahead and get my master's. That's fine, but do you really need it? Look at the career that you have chosen. What is the entry-level requirement? If the entry-level requirement is an associate's degree or 2 years of preparation, take that option. Then later you can reinvest in your future by going on and getting the bachelor's degree maybe. In fact, many employers have tuition reimbursement that can help you pay for that. There's no reason to take cost upon yourself and more debt if you do not have to do so. I encourage you to consider hiring a financial aid advisor. Now, all colleges have financial aid departments and people who work in those areas. They will help you get the forms and maybe help you with the process. But they're doing it for their institution only. I think it is ideal to know how to fund your education before you select a college. And there's some steps you can do yourself, But if you want to maximize your funding possibilities, you may want to hire an advisor in financial aid. And it will cost you a few $100s, but it could pay many dividends for you. Start your plan as early as possible, because that way you can save more money. When you see what you're facing and you have that plan in place, you see how much money is needed. So then it's better to save 5 years in advance or even 3 years in advance rather than 6 months before you start classes. The earlier you start, the better you will be. Now we're going to end this part 1 at this point. Please come back and watch part 2, where we get into the types of financial aid that are available. We'll look at each one by name and look at how much it might take for you to get your needed funding for your future.